Hi knitters! Welcome to episode 55 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. You might notice my hair is orange. Don't worry, I'm not keeping it. It's really orange, isn't it? Oh man, so I'm learning how to do my own hair. This is just a stop on the walk. Like I keep doing a little bit and then I'll, try something else, and I'm aiming at blonde, but like an ashy blonde, which clearly I did not hit. But that's okay. Next week it'll be back to a normal color. But I figure if I can dye yarn, I can dye hair, right? Why not? Anyway, this is the Knitty McPurly podcast, and I am Devin Ventry. You can find me online at knittymcpurly.com. If you want to email me, you can email devin@knittymcpurly.com. And I am on Instagram as Knitty McPurly. So for like the past 5 years, my friend has done my hair. She's like a legit hair person, but she hasn't been working because she's been homeschooling her kids. But then she went back to work and she no longer has time to do my hair, which is fine. I'm kind of excited for the challenge. I think I know just enough to get myself into trouble, as is evidenced by today's hue. But it's gotten lighter and I'm happy with that. Like I just like every couple days I'll just kind of try something that I found on YouTube, or I'll text her and say, can I do this? What if I did this? So I've got a couple more tricks up my sleeve. If I like what I did, maybe next week I will share with you all the details of that if you're interested in that. Does anybody else do their own hair? Because it's like $200 to go to the salon and get your hair colored. And frankly, it makes my heart hurt a little bit to think about spending that kind of money on hair. And I'm like, why can't I do it myself? I absolutely can. There might be a couple misses. It's going to be a hit and a miss sometimes, but I don't have to learn how to do everybody's hair in the world. I just have to learn how to do my hair. So I am going to figure this out. That is my plan. I woke up this morning in just the best mood, and I think it was because of the podcast. Like I was just so excited. All day, my kids are like, Mom, you're so happy. I'm like, I know, it's podcast day. So we can be joyful despite orange hair, right? Let's do this thing. If you like knitting podcasts, you can come and find this one every Friday. I'll have a new video at some point in the day. Subscribe if you would. If you like the video, click the thumbs up. If you don't like it, click the thumbs up anyway. Yes, so let's start with progress and shop news. I did very little knitting this week. The only thing I really worked on is this sweater, and just this morning on the drive, I put it on, hold on. You know how it is when you're in the process of it and it's hard to see. I'm working on this, but I put it on a couple needles so that I could try it on and try not to get lipstick on it. All right, so this is a top-down turtleneck that I am working on that will probably be ready for testing sometime after Christmas. I'm on the floor as per usual. I really prefer podcasting in my kitchen because my kitchen is like the pretty part of my house. Is your house like that, where like you have the pretty part and then the rest of your house is just like, your house? Doesn't have that same level of prettiness that the main part does. So I'm making do. Gigi let me use her little sign, and I have my Noah shawl up here with its fluffy tassels that we all like so much. So anyway, this is the beginning of this. It is going to, I might even have it on backwards. Oh no. No, it's on right. It has some short rows in the back, and it's got a nice tall turtleneck that I really wanted. And this raglan shaping is going to come down much further than normal raglan shaping would, because I want to have a really deep armhole with a really wide sleeve that tapers up and ends right about here. So this is fingering weight, and I am working it on size 2 needles. I dyed this color myself, and I'm not really alternating. I'm just now starting the second skein. And what I did was I knit the first skein, and then as I kind of got toward the end of it, I'm alternating just a few rows. That's kind of how I roll with hand-dyed yarn, because it's just too much work. I don't want to alternate the whole time. And I probably would if it were, you know, more variegated, or if it was necessary, I would do it. But for the most part, I find that this works out pretty well for me most of the time. I am so distracted by my hair. I think I'm gonna have to post a picture. As soon as I get it the way I want it, I'll post a picture on Instagram. And if you're interested, I'll tell you how I got there. It's gonna be circuitous, because obviously. So I have had very little progress, because that's all I've been working on. And I decided, instead of making myself a second cowl, I showed this last time, the camel, I hate to show it with the hair. It's too much orange. I showed the camel cowl last time. I was gonna make one in that ice blue for myself, but I decided not to, just because this is going out to test knitters later today. And I don't know, I have too much other stuff to do. And I do get wrapped up in patterns where I love it and I just want to make it again and again. But I need to not do that. And so I decided what I really want to do is, for this holiday market, December 11th, Manassas, Virginia, holiday market, tons of vendors. I'll be there. Lots of people will be there. I wanted to have some finished everywhere hats that I could sell as a finished object, because not everybody is going to be knitters. It's going to be all kinds of people looking for Christmas presents and whatnot. So I'm going to have McPurly pouches, and if I had some finished hats to sell, I think that would be really fun. So, however, this week, the big thing that I did is that I mailed the advent calendars. I've been getting emails and tags on Instagram of people opening their box, and I'm so excited about it. I'm so happy with the packaging. I loved how it all came together. Let me know what you think. If you have any constructive criticism, you know, if you think, oh gosh, what if you did it this way next year? This would be even better. Tell me. I'm always open to hearing that. I love constructive criticism. I actually even love a thumbs down every now and then, because it kind of legitimizes the thumbs ups. So those went out, and that was super, super great. Very excited about that. As soon as those were out of my workspace, I was able to move in the prep for the McPurly pouches, and I've got those going. I am working on dyeing up some modern rainbow socks kits for the holiday market. I'll put up some pictures here while I'm talking in case you haven't seen them. I have the modern rainbow socks #1 and the modern rainbow socks #2. And these are both super cute kits. Whatever you want to make with them, you can make with them. But I'll have some of those at the holiday market. And I think what I'm going to do is, whatever doesn't sell, I will put up on the website on December 12th. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're on my newsletter, you know, go sign up for my newsletter if you're interested. It's on my website, and you can get all this stuff in your inbox, and newsletter subscribers always get the best discounts. So if you want news and details on Black Friday and this shop update on the 12th, then go sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get all of that right in your inbox. So at the holiday market, like I said, I'm going to do the sock kits. I'm going to have some Amsterdam Aran for the everywhere hats, because I just don't know what I'm going to get at a holiday market. Like, how many of these people are actual knitters or crocheters? How many people will buy a skein of yarn and know what to do with it? So I thought if I could kind of present oh, if you buy this, then you can make this. I think that might be a good way to go. We'll see. So I'm not going to have every base at the holiday market. I'm just going to kind of focus in on those kits. I also decided not to do printed patterns because I don't really like patterns like that. I really like having a digital download. Excuse me. So I'm going to be sending people to my website to just buy the pattern digitally. And then you can just store it on your hard drive and you can print it out as many times as you want. I wanted to highlight the Otte stitch marker necklace today because one of the best things about this necklace, first of all, it has the super cute double strand. So it has a silver tone and a gold tone strand, and it has a really cute, has a little tag on it, has a really cute bail on the top. But the best part about this stitch marker necklace, this one and the Josephine, but that one is like super fancy. It is just, you're the Queen of Sheba when you have that on. You feel like you're the princess of the world. This one is super pretty too, but the best thing about them is that they hold a lot of stitch markers. So this one comes with silver and gold hexagons. But you can see, I mean, there's space in there. Like you could even fit more in there. So that's one benefit to this. Now, for example, the new ones that I have, both the Francis, I showed these last week before I had named them, the Francis necklace that has a cross and the spinner necklace, they hold a lot fewer stitch markers, and they're going to be, the Francis will hold this size, but it only holds like 3. And the spinner will hold 6, but they're smaller stitch markers because that's just what will fit in there. So yeah, that's the Otte. And you can find that over at knittymcpurly.com. Okay, moving right along, we will be doing our knitting fantasies. I only have 2 knitting fantasies picks today, but I truly love them so, so much. The first one is a pattern that just came out, I think last week. It's called the Color Play Pullover by Beth McDonald Stone. And Beth is super cute. She's really a sweet person. She lives in Bermuda, which I imagine is very interesting because it would be a very seasonal kind of place. Bermuda is an island off the coast of the Carolinas, I believe. Is that right? So, you know, I don't know what hurricane season is like there. I imagine they really get the brunt of it. But in the Carolinas, it gets cold in the winter. I mean, at least as cold as it does here in Virginia. You know, not you Canadians and New Yorkers, you have the corner on the cold weather market, but you know, we get cold enough weather to wear sweaters here. So I imagine, you know, she gets that there in Bermuda, but I've never been there. Now I want to go because I've been talking about it for the past 30 seconds. That's how my mind works. Anyway, this is the Color Play Pullover. She is selling it on Ravelry for $8. And it is perfect for your Advent calendar minis. So there are 5 sizes, and it uses between 13 and 23 20-gram minis. Or you can use scraps. I love a good scrap project. Now, my Advent calendar is a little bit different than the others in that each day you're opening 10-gram minis. But at the end, on Christmas Day, you have a full skein to open. I know a lot of Advent calendars are 20 grams through all of Advent, and there might be one on the 25th too. I don't know. I guess different people do it differently. But the gist is you can use small bits of yarn to make this sweater. Now, the pictures that I'm putting up here are of Beth's pullover. But if you go and look at the page on Ravelry, a lot of people did it differently. She kind of fades hers, but some people did stripes. But it's super cute. And my favorite aspect of this sweater is the sleeve. I just think it's so cute. It's kind of a bell sleeve, but it kind of bells out and then comes back like maybe here where it's a little bit tighter. Oh, I'm wearing my Inverness sweater, by the way, today. I talk about this a lot because it's kind of wide here and kind of slim here. Did I wear this last week? No, I can't remember. I don't remember. I don't know. This is like my go-to sweater. It's so comfortable and it looks good with everything. And I have like a sleeveless shirt on underneath it because of hot flashes. So I can just take it off and I'm still dressed. Yeah, that's where we are with that. Anyway, Beth McDonald, Stone, Color Play Pullover, $8 on Ravelry. Oh, another good fact about this is that this is a fingering weight held double with mohair. So you can either use mohair scraps, I presume, like I haven't bought the pattern, but I assume you can either use mohair scraps, or if you just have a skein or two of mohair laying around, you can, you know, just knit that in with your scraps. So that is my first pick. And my second and last pick is truly the cutest, most fun thing ever. These are the Gingerbread Dream socks by Candy Shop Yarns. And this lovely lady's name is Deborah. She's from Utah. And she has a podcast, which I just heard of from Instagram because of these socks. Her podcast is called the Meanwhile at the Castle podcast. And the way that I found them, I just remembered, it was not Instagram, it was the Naughty Knitwits, who have been allowing me to sponsor their podcast lately. And I have found so many new people, or rather they have found me. It has been so great finding new faces and you know, finding new names and getting new podcast watchers and podcast comments. So thank you, Michelle and Leslie. You guys are lovely. I hope you love your Francis necklaces. They both ordered those. Anyway, I found these socks from their podcast and they are just adorable. So I guess, and correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong, but I guess this is Deborah's pattern and she dyes the yarn kits, which she puts them up. She puts up a pre-order and they sell out in a hot second. So I messaged her this morning on Instagram and said, your socks are one of my knitting fantasies for the week. I see that you have kits. Do you have any right now? And she said the pre-order has just sold out, but she will do another pre-order. So if you're interested, which of course you are, because who wouldn't be? These are the greatest socks ever. Go follow her on Instagram at Candy Shop, SHOPPE Yarns. Deborah from Utah. And you'll be able to see, I guess, when, maybe she has a newsletter too, I don't know. But you'll be able to see when she does another update of those sock kits. They are just adorable. Oh my gosh. Now I want to know if they come in more than one size. I don't know. I didn't look that up, but I'm going to go find out. Because how cute would these be as kid socks? Oh my gosh. Now I think my whole family needs it. We're moving to Bermuda and we're going to have matching gingerbread socks. You guys. Oh, it's crazy. Oh my gosh. And on their Instagram describing the Candy Shop Yarns, it says sugar-free and high in fiber. So cute, right? Okay. So this week's topic, moving right along, this week's topic is the very humble I-cord. And many of you probably know all about the I-cord and you use it all the time and you know all about it. But I thought for those of you who maybe haven't heard of it before or have heard of it but don't know the backstory, I thought I would share that with you. So Elizabeth Zimmerman, who is the queen of knitting, or was when she was alive, the queen of knitting, who through her curiosity and just searching, she was able to come up with so many of the techniques and the things that we use all the time. She's like the mother of modern knitting, I think. And she came up with the idiot cord, also known as the I-cord. She called it the idiot cord because she just discovered it by accident. Basically, I had briefly thought of perhaps demonstrating it, but this is YouTube and you can absolutely learn how to do anything on YouTube. So if you don't know how to make one and you want to know, you can Google how to make an I-cord. But basically you just cast on a small number of stitches, 2 or 3 or 4 on one end of a double point, and then you slide it to the other end, and then you slide it to the other end and then you work it. And you're basically working in the round on one needle. So you're making a cord. And there's a picture of Elizabeth Zimmerman wearing her glasses with an I-cord chain on there. because when she discovered it, she was like, I want to I-cord everything now because this is just, it's great. Another great use for an I-cord, like you can use it as a, like a strap, or if you have a hat that needs a tie, you can do an I-cord. There's tons of uses for an I-cord. My cabled GG pullover has a little I-cord buttonhole. What else has an I-cord? I feel like there's one. I feel like my Christmas nativity might also use it. Does use an I-cord. It's Joseph's cloak closure is an I-cord, and Jesus's halo is an I-cord. So there's tons of uses for it. I mentioned this shawl a few episodes back, but I couldn't find it because I left it in the basement. This is one that I knit that uses a few different colors, mainly like an off-white and a mauve and a gray. But the overall effect of this shawl is one of a neutral. And this is a great size. And I'm going to talk to you about what this pattern is here in a minute. But it's a really good size. So basically, I knit this in 2019. During my cancellation, it was hard for me to knit. It was very sad inside. And so I downloaded Andrea Mowry's What the Fade shawl. And I started with that. And I've worn this a lot, so it's a bit pilly. But this, and I think I did it a little tight. It does look a little bit tight here, and you can see it kind of bunches a little bit here. But this has an I-cord. And what you do basically is you just slip the last 3 stitches of every row. But basically, I did her pattern for a while, and I also held, there's also some mohair in there, and then I just did whatever I wanted. Like I put in some baubles, and I put in some lace and some stripes. Now the What the Fade is a very large shawl, and I want to say I got to, I don't know, in here somewhere, and then I was like, I'm done following the pattern. I'm just going to do whatever I want, and I ended up with the shawl that is much smaller than that. So this is my own personal take on What the Fade. But anyway, this illustrates using colors to create an overall neutral effect, and also the I-cord edge. Now, I think this was also supposed to have an I-cord bind off, which I did not do. That takes a long time. And I don't really love the look of it. I do like the I-cord along the top because it gives it a lot of stability across the top. But on the bind off, I just think it looks like, you know, like I wouldn't want like piping along the edge of a shawl. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be more kind of, I want it to lay more flowy, I guess is what I mean. I don't want it to be thick at the bottom. So I read about this on the I-cord. I read about it on the Pearl Soho website, and you can go look there too, where it talks about the idiot cord and how Elizabeth Zimmerman discovered it. And I loved what they said. They said that it exemplified what knitting ought to be. Knitting ought to be fun and full of needless complications and full of discovery. And that's what it ought to be. And if it doesn't feel that way, then maybe think about another way to think about it. I mean, I don't want to be stressed in my knitting at all. And so I just don't go there with it. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy it. I want it to be a fun thing or a relaxing thing, but not a stressful thing. And I'm definitely not as adventurous as Elizabeth Zimmerman. I tend to kind of stay in my lane, I think. I mean, I design a lot of different things, but I don't know. I guess I have a style. I guess we all have a style, but she was very adventurous. Awesome, awesome lady. Awesome knitter. Okay, so I told you guys last time that I wanted to have some crowd input on my So Here's What Happened segment, which is the segment that we're going to do right now. And my lovely, lovely friend, Rachel Tuck, who is Nene Knits over on Instagram, Nene Knits, agreed to do a knitting story for me. I'm so happy. I know she stepped outside of her comfort zone to do this, but you can't tell. Like, She is a natural. She tells the story so beautifully, and it's such a beautiful story that I'm going to play for you right now. Episode 55 is about I-cords and booties. And if you are at all interested in contributing a knitting story, I would love to feature it on the podcast. If you want to take a 5 to 10 minute video of yourself telling a knitting story or a yarn related story that is funny or interesting or heartwarming, I would love it if you would send it to me, devin@knittymcpurly.com, and I would love to feature it on the podcast. And without further ado, here is Rachel.
Hi knitters, hi Devin. My name's Rachel. I'm Knitty Knits on Instagram. Devin asked me to share a knitting story. So I've knit lots of stuff for lots of people for probably 15, 20 years. And the one person that I enjoyed knitting for the most was my dad. My father was a wonderful father. I loved him a lot, but in his later years of his life, he had some mental illness, and his world started to shrink. It was first close friends, extended family, and as the years went on, it became my sister, my mother, and myself, and then it was just my mother. And at that point, they moved from Seattle to near us here in Amboy outside of Vancouver, Washington. And my dad was well for a while, but then he started to decline and his world began to shrink even more. And he wouldn't leave the house, and my mother became his caregiver. And at that point, he knew that I knit because I would go over and I'd sit with my mom and she'd crochet and I'd knit. And my dad would see that. And I had his pair of slippers on one day, and he just loved these slippers and wanted me to make him booties. He called them booties. And he had diabetes as well, so his feet were always painful, and these he thought looked soft, and he could wear them around the house. So I started making booties, and I would make a pair at Christmas. I would make a pair for his birthday. I would make a pair for Father's Day. And he always would ask for these booties. And he wouldn't let me help him in any other way. He didn't want me to run errands. He didn't want me to come over and sit and talk with him. He wanted booties. I must have made 15, 20 pairs of booties for him. But he would always bring me the first pair that I ever made. And if they would get holes, he'd want me to fix them. I darned them. I darned the darned parts over and over again. And he kept wanting booties, so I would make him these booties. It was really the only way I could connect with him. He declined, his mental capabilities declined, and he had to go into a care home. And when we cleaned up his room, there was a stack of probably 20 pairs of these slippers that he never wore. He kept them for good. That's what he always said. He was keeping them for good. And I couldn't do much for my dad. The only way I could show him that I cared about him and that I loved him was to knit booties. So I did. And after he passed away in 2012, we had this large stack of booties that we donated to a charity. And I don't know, I just felt good that I couldn't do much for my dad, but I could connect with my dad and I could show my dad that I loved him by knitting booties. So it worked. I loved it. Have a great day, knitters.
I just love that story. It's so sweet. And I think we probably all have something like that where we were able to knit for someone at a time when there was nothing else we could do for them. I know my husband's grandpa passed away in 2019, and I knit him a vest. Was it a vest? I think it was a vest, and I put a zipper in it, and he's buried in it, which is really sweet. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for episode 55. I would love it if you would subscribe and hit the like button and come back next week, and I will see you then. Enjoy your knitting, friends. Bye.